University. I take this opportunity to welcome all the participants and resource person of our 9 days workshop, Dr. Suresh Kumar sir, my professors, faculty members, and other members who are attending this workshop for the last 9 days. Uh, Before going to proceed, it is my privilege to introduce the Department of EEE KL University. This Department of EEE started journey in the year of 1995. Over the last few decades, we have grown our expertise and competence in the core electrical and electronics engineering curriculum and research. We have a strong undergraduate program in electrical and electronics engineering, including BTech, MTech with a dual degree program. At the postgraduate level, we offer MTech and MTech by research, and we are also offering PhD degrees. At present, in our department, we have more than 400 students who are pursuing undergraduation program and around 36 students who are taking a pursuing MTech program. And we also have more than 170 PhD scholars who are pursuing their doctoral degree from the Department of EEE. Several sponsored candidates from industries and research laboratories will carry out their postgraduate studies in our department. Department of EEE KL University offers science-based engineering curriculum. The primary focus of our curriculum is to impart technical knowledge to the students and to promote their program problem-solving skills and innovation of new technologies. Department offers large number of core and professional courses for providing wide spectrum of options to the students to pursue their interest. The course contents are periodically updated for introducing new scientific and technological developments. Our undergraduate students are encouraged to undertake various research projects, and we also encourage our UG students to publish their project works and research work in various Scopus and SCI publications. I am very happy to inform you that our department maintains active research groups for carrying out collaborative and interdisciplinary research. We have state-of-the-art research facilities to support our academic programs as well as research activities in the department. Department of EEE have more than 2.5 crores worth of funding projects from various organizations in our country, which help us to maintain and modernize our research infrastructure. Our department has a distinguished record in both teaching and research. Faculty members have excellent academic credentials and are highly regarded. They have been conferred with many prestigious awards at national and international levels. Several faculty members serve on the editorial boards of national and international journals. They will review technical articles for standardized journal publications on regular basis. And we used to organize various national and international symposia and conferences for the benefit of our students as well as the outside participants. So this is a brief view regarding the Department of EEE. Now I will take this opportunity to introduce my resource person for the 9 days. I am unfortunately, I have not yet attended a few of the sessions which are organized for the last 9 days. I'm very sorry for that. On behalf of Department of EEE, I should thank to our resource person, Dr. Suresh Kumar sir, for accepting our request to delivery content during this last 9 days. The delivery of all the sessions went very well. Even though I have not attended, I attended only 3 to 4 sessions for the last 9 days. But when I taken a feedback from my attendees as well as from the faculty members of the Department of EEE, they given me wonderful feedback about the sessions which are went on during the last 9 days. The delivery of all the sessions went very well. The delivery mechanism, pace in delivering the contents, and method of clarifying doubts through simulation support is remarkable, sir. Regarding the 9-day sessions, all the sessions delivered are well balanced with concepts and simulations with the practical application approach. Runtime animation. Runtime animations made more attention towards the lectures which are delivered by our resource persons, sir. We are extremely happy the sessions which are went on during the last 9 days. So I should congratulate our resource person, Dr. Suresh Kumar sir, for his time and sharing the conceptual knowledge and And with this brief view, once again, I should thank my resource person, Dr. Suresh Kumar sir. Definitely after this workshop also, we are always be in touch with you, sir. We want to extend a collaborative support with the Department of EEE in the future endeavors. I take this opportunity also to thank all the participants, UG and PG students of our department, research scholars of our department, and participants from outside institutions, and faculty members of my department and faculty from other department as well as from other institutions for their continuous presence in learning new concepts during this 9 days workshop. I should also thank my management, my Honorable President Sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, and Principal KL College of Engineering for encouraging the departments and for providing their wonderful support to conduct such type of wonderful workshops during this pandemic situation. Last but not least, I should congratulate my young team organizers, Mr. Kalyan, Raviteja, and Nagataichanya, and my professor, Dr. Raju sir, who are behind the success of this 9 days workshop. Their efforts are wonderful for making this 9 days workshop more successful. And at last, I will end up this with thanks once again to my resource person for providing the valuable sessions during this 9 days workshop. And I should also thank all the participants for making this event grand success. Thank you so much to all of you. So I will hand over to Kalyan sir. Please proceed, sir.
Thank you so much, Somlal sir, for giving congratulation words to a resource person, also the organizers as well as the participants. So thank you for the brief intro about the department. Like yes, EEE department is definitely like looking forward to bring what are the possible resources from all the ways to enlighten our students and faculty. And also, like I would like to thank the Dr. Suresh Kumar Gadi. When we personally like had a conversation, so when I requested for a online lecture delivery, he immediately accepted, and he asked me a time of 1 week. So within a 1 week, he came forward with the beautiful plan and executed as all of you have seen. So the dedication towards planning for a small commitment is wonderful, Dr. Suresh. We learned so much from your commitment. So we have seen your efforts through the session, how you have delivered. Even though like a little bit of the gap there between you as well as participant during the questionnaire hour, still whatsoever questions like you got, you gave a beautiful solutions, answers, and in a convincible manner. So I think I'm very much blessed to have you among us, because this is the academic community where knowledge is kind of a lamp to make others to glow. So really, like this is a good opportunity for me to thank my friend and Dr. Suresh Kumar Gadi for accepting our invitation of EEE department and making this event very success. And this is a time for me to give a call from any of the participants, or faculty, professors, scholars. Please give your feedback. And even though we have one more session, still this is the right time for us to like go forward and share your experiences regarding this 8 days sessions. You can take opportunity to share your experiences. I hope I'm audible, no, Raju sir.
You are
Dr. Suresh.
audible.
Yes, thank you, sir.
From participants, please give your valuable feedback for this 9 days workshop.
Yes, I think someone speaking. Please, you can speak.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Yeah.
You can speak. May I know who is this? Please tell your name.
Myself, Satyartha, sir. I'm a BTech fourth year student at KLU itself. Before starting this, when attending this lecture, I had a question: how these mathematical models are implemented in real life? So I used to have a question like how motors are made, how they are designed. So I got the answer attending this lecture, like how you said the flux linkages, or how we measure the length and we implement the thing. So it had helped me a lot. Thanks for the thing, sir.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you, Satyartha. Thank you for your valuable feedback. Anyone else want to share? Yes, I think someone can unmute yourself and you can speak. Yes. So I think we are getting delayed and we'll hand over the session to resource person, and at last we'll be given again a call for you to share your feedbacks. Over to Suresh. Suresh, can you carry forward the session, because we got something pending yesterday, right? So we have to add that also to this session. So at last we'll spend some more time for questionnaire and all. Thank you so much for your participation. Over to Dr. Suresh.
Okay. Good evening, all of you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I have to thank my friend Kalyan, and also thank KL University and the EEE department as special. And I'm very thankful for the beautiful words from Dr. Somraj Garu. And also I have to thank the guests, the participants who always kept me engaged with the questions. A good session is always incomplete without questions, and I'm very happy to receive good questions throughout the course. And in the future, if we have both of us have the need and requirement, we will have more sessions. I will be very happy to conduct more sessions.
Yeah,
thank you very much. So let's start with today's session.
Yes.
Okay. So yesterday we started with the adaptive control. What we have seen yesterday is if we have a signal and your output should follow the signal or the reference. You can say if we have some reference and the output of our system should follow the given reference trajectory. But what we have seen is we have kept some limitations on the trajectory. For example, we said we should have it should be continuous, and its differentiation should be continuous, and its first differentiation should be continuous. So we started keeping a lot of restrictions on our reference signal. But in the real life, it is not always possible to keep certain restrictions on the reference signal. So what is the other method we can do is instead of going with that, what we can do is we say we want our system to behave like some other system. So what does it mean? So you have some system like, let us say we have a robot, and we want to say this robot is a first order system. And I also know that one RC circuit, a resistance capacitive series circuit, is also a first order system. And I like the RC circuit. So what I want is this robot dynamics should be same as the dynamics of a RC circuit. So what you do, that's what is MRAC, model reference adaptive control. So what we will do is our system, it can be a robot or anything of the same order. We want this system to behave exactly as the reference model. What is the reference model in our example? It is the RC circuit. So we say RC circuit is our example, and we want our robot to behave exactly like that. So we will see today how it works. Yesterday we were seeing the derivation part. The derivation part was to explain how mathematics work behind the scene or behind the algorithms. So we will see is that at the end of the course, because it is not really required for, which is not actually planned for this part of the course. It is something like extra I wanted to show to the students and to the other members who are first time seeing how algorithms are coming up. We see some parameters are popping up in the algorithm, and we see why this thing is coming. So if you have those doubts, by seeing the derivation, how the algorithm is developed, we can understand. So we will see that at the end of the session, if we have enough time. So let us start with the model reference adaptive control. Okay. So here again, let me explain again how it works. So we have plant. Plant is something like the system which we want to control. In this case, in our example, a robot is our plant. We want to control a robot. But to control robot, we want some reference system. We are giving one RC circuit. One RC circuit is one simple resistance capacitor in series with some voltage source. So we give certain reference value, some reference signal to the reference model, and we collect the information and see how the reference model is working. And also we see that what is the plant at the what is the present value of the plant's output, and we compare it and we give to control algorithm, and we make the control algorithm to adapt. It's something not static. The variables inside the gains are adapting to the new with the model. I mean with the new situation. As the situation changes, it keeps adapting, and it gives the controller. And the controller, in this case, we can say the controller is the amplifier of the robot. The amplifier is like the one which gives the voltage. So we tell the voltage source of the, so give certain voltage to the robot so that it behaves exactly as the reference model. So what we'll see throughout our examples is we see how it behaves, and we give some certain reference model, and we see how it behaves, how reference model behaves, how the plant behaves, and we apply the control algorithm, and we see as the time goes, the reference output and the plant output is the same. So what we can say is the plant is behaving as if it is a capacitor, or I mean RC circuit. So if you have any doubts, please ask me. What is MRAC, model reference adaptive control? Please ask me now.
This reference model behave like plant, or plant behaves like a capacitor?
The reference model is in our example, it is RC circuit, sir. So this one behaves like as it behaves like we are expecting our plant to behave like that. Means the output of the plant should be same as the output of the reference model. So what we are doing is we change the input such a way that the output should match the reference model.
Is this plant the original plant or this plant is a part of control?
No, this is the original plant, sir. This is the robot, dynamics of the robot.
So we are trying to reflect the performance of plant using reference model using plant.
Yes, sir. We want the output of the reference model. I mean, output of the plant should be exactly same as the reference model. Yes, sir. So we can say something like we are very comfortable knowing how RC circuit works, and we want same output for some other circuit or some other system. So what we do, we use this adaptive control and we make sure that the system output is same as a RC circuit. Yes.
You mean we make it like operate like a low pass or low pass filter or a high pass filter, something like that? Because RC.
Yes. RC circuit I'm giving like an example because first we'll see if the first order system. Okay. So we have only one. So for electrical engineers, I'm giving RC as an example. So something like first order system, if the plant is first order, the reference should be first order. There are other adaptive controls for the difference in the order, but what we are seeing is the same order. If the plant is second order, the reference model is second order. So for engineers, we know how RC circuits works, electrical engineers, and if someone gives some other system, maybe robot, something which we don't know, and we want the robot should behave or its dynamics should be same as a RC circuit, so then we apply this. So what we have to understand here is we don't know what are the parameters are inside this plant. We don't know the parameters, but we know the parameters of reference model. So on the paper, you design how you want the response should be, and you apply adaptive control and you make sure the response is coming like this. I will show an example how it works. So it will be more clear with the example, sir.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So let me show you the algorithm. The algorithm is something similar what we were seeing throughout the course. This is the plant, our system, and this is the model which we want. The plant should behave like this. So what does it mean? We give the values of alpha and beta. So we know already how our plant should work. So we give this. And the control signal to our system is U is equal to theta transpose times phi. The theta is given by this, and phi is y and r. And what is theta dot? We know how we apply the algorithm. So minus gamma times phi EM. What is EM? This is an important thing. The EM is the difference between plant's output and the actual output of the system. I'm sorry, the model output, the reference model output, and the actual output of the system. And we select gamma, a matrix, such a way that it is always greater than 0. So let us have an example, then we'll understand more easily. So let us say we have a system. We know this is our robot. But for the example, we know the values, but in the real life, we don't know these values, 0.022 and 9.3. We don't have access to these values. So we don't know that what are the actual values. But what we know is we want this to behave such that the system dynamics are 1 divided by s plus 1. So let us see first how these two systems what are the response for both these systems. If we see this, let us see. If you give a sine wave, so we have 3. This is the system, this is the reference, and this is also system in that state space form. These both are the same. This one and this one are the same. And this one is the reference model. So if you see, we have two models. One is the plant model. The other one is the reference model. The plant model is something which you can't change. The reference model is something which you desire to have. So if you see the output for a sine wave, So the 3 and 1 are the same because both are same function. But you see this 2 is the reference model. So we want our system to behave like this. But how it is behaving? It is behaving something like this. So there is a difference between the plant's response. This is a plant's response. And this is the response for the reference model. So if you give a sine wave, the reference is this one, which is going almost reaching 1. The plant is behaving little different. It is reaching to less than it's around 0.02. What we want is the plant should have the same output as the reference model. So we give another example where instead of sine wave, we will give some other step wave, or in this case I'm using square wave. So why I'm using square wave is initially in the previous algorithm we said we can't use square waves or triangular waves, but here we can use, because we are not taking the signal of reference, we're taking signal from the output of a model. So if you see how this reacts to this signal. Okay. So again, the 3 and 1 are the same. So let me stop here. Okay. So if you see the 3 and 1 are the same. So let me stop the one. So if here you can see there is a big difference between how the system 1 and the system 2 changes. The system 1, I mean how the actual system behaves, and the reference the peak like things are coming for the reference one. And how is the actual system responding? It is responding like this. It is going and it's flat, and it's coming down and it's flat. But we want our system to behave is like this. We can say for now something like triangular wave. Not exactly, but for our convenience to talk, we'll say it looks like a triangular wave. So what we can see is our system is behaving like a square wave. We can say this square wave, but we want our system's response to be like a triangular wave. So what we do, we have to apply the MRAC to make sure our system is behaving like that. So we will apply the algorithm, and we will see. First we will see with the sine wave how it works, and then we will apply for the square wave. So before going there, let us see how this algorithm is implemented. Here we have one system. The system is this one. This is the system, which is a robot. And we have a model. The model is given by this one, 1 divided by s plus 1. So what we want to calculate is theta and phi. If we have theta and phi, we can calculate u and we'll insert into this. So let us first find phi. How do we get phi? Phi is a matrix of 2 rows. The first row is y and the second row is r. Y is the output of the system. R is our reference. So we see where is a phi. So this is a phi. The phi is output of the system and the reference R. And then we calculate EM. EM is the model's output and our system output. The model output is this one. This is the output of the reference model. And what is our system's actual output is this Y. So this Y we are giving. So ym minus y is the error. Actually, we say it is error m. So it is error in the difference between the model and reference model and the actual plant. And what is the algorithm? It says gamma times. We have gamma times the error, and phi. So we have gamma, error, phi. We multiply all these things, which is theta dot, and which is theta dot. So theta is here, and what we get, u is theta transpose times phi. So u is theta transpose times phi. So we are multiplying phi. So multiplication of these two gives us the u. So we feed this to our plant, to our system. So let us measure the signals, how we receive. So what we are plotting here, the first terminal is the plant's output. The second terminal is the reference model output. So we say first is plant versus reference. So what we expect is both should coincide each other. So at the beginning, we can see the plant is different from the model, but as the time progresses, it's slowly getting closer. I have chosen gain values a little smaller so that it takes long time and we can appreciate how it is converging. So if we give big gain values, we can say that it will converge little quick. So how I'm controlling that is by controlling here. If we put it 1, we can make sure we can see that it is converging a little quicker. See, as changed, it converges a little quicker. So we can see here it is converging as the time goes. So the more important thing is in or most interesting thing is in this how it reacts with the square wave. So the same algorithm we are implementing in the square wave with the square wave as the reference. So we saw the reference model is giving a triangular wave and our plant is giving a what you call a square wave type of output. So what we see in this adaptive is it slowly moves from square wave to the triangular wave. So what we call this is the first term is the plant and reference model. We see output of the plant and the reference model. Let us see how it works. So the plant, it is trying to meet or exactly mimic the output of the reference model. As the time progresses, it will slowly reach and it will looks exactly like the reference model. So already we can see it is getting very closer. So from here we can say it is exactly mimicking. So at the beginning it was very different, but as the time goes on, see, we can see how it is different. So it is very different. It is you can clearly see that the controller is updating itself continuously and it makes sure the output is a triangular. As I said, triangular is the word I am using for simplification of explication. So it was something else, but it's adapting itself to make sure it looks like a triangular wave. Okay, so if you have any doubts, please ask me now. Raju sir, you were asking, was it clear now, or if I can explain more, please tell me.
Yeah. If irrespective of the order of the plant,
yes, sir.
It can be tuned. Be giving like a first order. Like the controller changes its order.
This algorithm is what we are seeing today is something which thinks that the plant's order and the reference model order are the same. If it is different, then we have to use some modified version of this algorithm, sir. So what we are seeing today is the order of the system should be same. Otherwise, this algorithm won't work. It may work, but it won't guarantee the stability of the system.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Okay. So let us go with the second order system. This is the first order example you have seen. For the second order system, it is similar to the what we have seen yesterday, the second order system. We have a, it's similar in the sense of implementing the algorithm, but let us see how it is. This is the plant's model. This is the reference model. And what we have here is the controller control signal. We are putting again theta transpose times phi, and theta these are the thetas. We are saying this phi is z, y dot and y. What is z? Z is equal to y double dot minus beta 1 em dot minus beta dot em. So how do we calculate this y double dot? From the y signal, we have to do 2 times differentiation and we'll get it. And in the real life, instead of differentiating, we use certain filters and we can get those. And what is beta 1 and beta 0? Those are like how we saw yesterday. Beta 1, beta 0 are selected such a way that the matrix A should have all its eigenvalues negative. So what does it mean? So you put a matrix like this, you say 0, 1, minus beta 0, minus beta 1, and select some values for beta 1 and beta 0, such a way that this matrix has all its eigenvalues negative. So this should be a negative. We don't say negative matrix, we say its eigenvalues are negative. Okay, so we know how to get this Z value. Then we see gamma is a gain. We will put some positive value. It should be a positive matrix. It means it is a symmetric and all its eigenvalues are greater than 0. And we have a phi. And how do we get phi is from this equation. And this is 0, 1. We saw yesterday the matrix is always 0, 0, 0 and the last element is 1. And P and E. So let us see first what is E. The E is the matrix with E and E dot. Actually, it is not E and E, it is EM and dot, EM dot. So how do we get EM is, so in this case, what I'm saying is E and EM are the same. So by mistake, I forgot to put M here, so, but it is the same. So EM, how do we get EM is YM minus Y. So what is YM? Output of the system. Y is our actual output of, oh sorry, YM is output of the model, reference model, and Y is actual output of the plant. Okay, so the only term remaining is the P. How do we get the term P? The P is calculated by some small in 2-3 steps process. What's the first step is we write a matrix with this equation with this matrix equation. Here we already know what is A. And we have to give some value for Q such that it is positive. When I say positive, a matrix is positive, again, it means it is a symmetric matrix and all its eigenvalues are positive. So we have to select some Q which is positive. So this term becomes negative. And we have to make sure this is followed. So what we get from here, we give certain values to P, maybe A, B, B, C. I'm saying A, B, B, C as the matrix values because it is a symmetric matrix. So we have to find this from solving this matrix equation. There are softwares which directly they have Lyapunov they call Lyapunov equation. So there we can say Lyapunov equation solution. You give A value, Q value, and it will calculate P value directly. And if not, you can do manually. It is not very difficult. When you write in matrix format and you multiply, you will get several equations, like 4 equations, and that 2 equations are the same. So you have 3 different equations and 3 variables. So you know how to solve 3 variables with 3 equations. These are simultaneous equations. So you can solve this. And then you will get the value of P. So with the value of P, we complete this algorithm. Let us see in an example. So we saw this algorithm yesterday. We'll finish the example, and then if you have doubts, please ask me. So what is the example says? Again, it uses our model or our robot, and it says, I want this to behave like this system. Why I have selected this system is this system is having some oscillations, and you can see that there is the transition between this normal behavior to this behavior is something little dramatic. So I want to show you that, and we will get some information from that. We can appreciate that the control algorithm, how the control algorithm is working and the stuff. So I selected this value. Okay, so let's see how this example we can work out. So before going that, we will see what is the response for this plant and this plant in the open loop. So if we go like this. Okay, so what I'm doing, this is a plant and this is a reference model. So what I want to see here in this graph is, I want to see first term is plant and reference model. We will see the responses of the plant and the reference model. So we give a square wave, and we will see how these two look like. So if you see, the reference model is this small oscillation, and then it is getting stable. I will stop the simulation here. We already know how the plant behaves. So first, let me show the plant. The plant behaves like this. And this is how our reference model is behaving. It's going to some value and it's oscillating and it's coming down. So we have this. So you can see one difference from the previous one. The previous one, the plant was having a square wave. Now you see something like triangular. Why? Because the previous one was the first order system. If you see the previous example, it is a first order system, and this is a second order system. We are integrating a square wave. We know integration of a square wave is a triangular wave, right? So we see the plant is behaving like a square triangular wave in this case. Previously it was a square wave. So we have a good this one, but we want our plant to behave something like this. So what we are saying, it should behave like it should have some peaks and it should move a little and then settle to certain value. So let us see if it works, how it works with our algorithm. Okay, this is our algorithm, and we see it is implemented like yesterday, but let us go very quickly how it is implemented. So we have reference model. I'm sorry, this is a plant and we have reference model. So we put plant here. We have a reference model here. So what are we doing? First, let us try how do we calculate this Z. Z is calculated by, actually it is betas, but I'm using alpha because I copied from the yesterday's notes. So it is here in this case, alphas are betas in this part. So it is y double dot. So y double dot is the output. Where is it? Okay, it is sum of this. So y double dot and beta 1 times, we can say alpha 1 times the error between model and the, we can say E is error between model and the actual value. So this is the difference between these two. and E is error. This one is E dot and this is E. So this is after differentiation, it is before differentiation. So you are getting this. So this is what we are getting here is Z. So what we have here is value. Okay. So what we have Z, and then what is the, we have phi. We have to get the phi. So what is phi? Phi is of 3 elements. The first element is Z, then Y dot and Y. So this is Z, Y dot and Y. We changed the order a little, but it should work. And then what we have is the theta cap dot. How do we calculate? Gamma phi gamma, and we are applying gamma to the phi. So this is gamma times phi, and then we have B transpose, which is 0, 1. So if you see what is this value, this is 0, 1. So this is 0, 1, and we multiply it with a P. So we said how we calculate the P. We use the same values for the what we have used yesterday, and then we multiply it with E. So what is E? E is the error. So this error I'm putting in a matrix, and we are multiplying with this. So if we integrate and we transpose, so we get here theta dot and here we are getting theta. So theta transpose times phi. So we multiply these two and we feed this as input to our system. So we run this and see. So what is the graph I'm drawing? I'm drawing between the first one is the reference model, the first terminal. The second terminal is the plant's output. So we say it is reference and let us run this and see how it behaves. So let me start. If you see, the both are coinciding exactly. So we can say our algorithm is working and both are converging. And let us see what is the output. What we are seeing is this is the output of the algorithm or input to the plant. So this is the U. So what we are plotting here is U, input to the plant. So if we see what we are giving as an input, we run this. Let us start. So to get the desired response, what we are giving to the plant is this signal. If we give this signal, only then our plant behaves like how it is behaving. So how do we come up with this signal? By using the adaptive control. So now let us see by giving little gain. So now what we are giving here is a big gain. So it is immediately both are it is adapting very quickly. If you see here, it is adapting less than 0.5, 0.05, or we can say by 0.1 second, it is almost mimicking the model. So, but what we'll do is we'll give very small gain. So what is the gain I'm talking about is the gamma. Where is the gamma here? This is the gamma. The gamma what I'm using is, for us it looks small number, but let us see what's the value. The gamma we are using is 0.1 here in this example, and it is giving very quick convergence. So this is actually good for us, but for our purpose, for our understanding, let us give some very small gamma and see how the system is updating itself, how it is adapting itself to get the better to improve itself. So let us plot. This one is called reference and plant responses. And what we see is to the so let us plot these two things. So input to the plant, we have to give this, and we are receiving this as. So we can see here the U is something like this, and the reference is, and this is the behavior. So with what are the gains we are using now? The gains we are using is very small value. We are using 10 to the power of minus 7, 0.000 or some 6 zeros and 1. So let us see how it behaves. So as it starts, this is the control, and you can see it's adapting. And if we observe here, it's behaving something very different, but slowly it tries to reach, it tries to mimic the reference model. Until now it is not, it's continuously, you can see it will continuously try to change itself. It's updating, it's adapting itself to mimic the reference model. As the time progresses, you can see. So by now you understand that as the time goes on, it will converge to the reference model. Yeah, we can stop until here because it will take a lot of time. Since the gain is very little, it will take a lot of time to finish or exactly coincide. So, but this is how we can see that the adaptive control is working. So this is all I wanted to show. If you have any doubts, please ask me. So it will take some time to exactly, both should be exactly same. But the big effect you can see at the beginning of the plot. So it's plotting something and slowly it tries to converge with the reference model's output. Yeah. If you have any doubts, please ask me.
Does this algorithm will help us to maintain platform stability, where the system has to undergo, it has to follow actually the reference, which is we call it a stable system.
Yes.
So when all of a sudden practical, the parameters changes for a sudden impact or some external inputs. So
Yeah.
still this algorithm will help us there.
Yeah, it will help us. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So in certain case, you can say.
Like, do we need to wait this much time? 60 minutes already, right? So gain is a matter.
Yeah, gain is the one which it's called adaptive gain. So how quickly you want to adapt, it gives that value. So if you give too big value, very big value, it will reach quickly, but it will always remain with some error. So you can see this one reached quickly, but if you go a little closer, you can see there is a small error between these two. And this will never be rectified because the gain is too big for this. So if you want to have very accurate following of the model, so what you have to do is select little less gain. So it will be more accurate, but it will be taking longer time to reach. So you have to make the trade-off. You want quick quick convergence, or you want convert slowly, but to get the most accurate value. So you have to make sure what is your requirement, and then you have to. So in this, we said it can go accurate, but take long time. So just to see the how it is adapting itself. So it's taking very long time to adapt. And regarding the changes, the adaptive controllers is you can't change big values in a short duration. I mean, the parameters should not be changed with big differences, like from 1 to 100. You can't change like that. It can go slowly over the time. It can go from 1 to 100, but not in 1 second. It should take some time. Only then we can guarantee that it is stable.
Yes, okay.
So, but how we can apply this is, for example, you have a robot and you know it's working very good, and you have its dynamics and it's very good, and you bought a new robot and you want to install in your application. So what you want to do is you want this new robot to behave exactly like the previous robot. So you can't, I mean, you instead of tuning PID controllers and a lot of other stuff, what you will do, you can apply this adaptive control, and you can make sure that this new robot will behave exactly like the previous robot which was there you are having. Yeah. And also the ships, the cruise ships and other ships, they use this type of controllers, adaptive controllers. So they know already which behavior is good for them. So they have certain model in their mind. If there are some waves are disturbing the ship, they want to move the ship in a very little way. They don't want to attenuate completely, and they want to make the ship move a little bit, and they apply these algorithms, the adaptive control. The mostly because it's we don't know the model of the ship. What we know is we know how it should behave, but we don't know exact model of the ship. So by seeing this order, we can say we can apply these adaptive controllers over there. In most of
I have doubts. In the absence of perfect trans function of any system, still we can achieve the desired output with this adaptive control.
Yes. Okay. All you should know is the model of the. You should know what is the model of the mathematical model of the system, and based on that you can create your own desired model. You say this is a model of my mathematic, I mean the system, and then you say okay, but I don't want parameters. I want to give my own parameters. So you decide how the system should behave. Yeah, you don't need the actual values, but you should know the model.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So after some time it will converge. So let us stop here. Okay. So if you have doubts, please ask me. Otherwise, I want to show the derivation part. So actually, we can say this is the end of the 9-day course, which I wanted to explain. If you have any doubts, please ask me. So if you don't have any doubts, we can go with the one which was started yesterday. So I'll wait for 1 minute. So if you have any doubts, please ask me.
So Suresh, this the reference model, whatever we are using,
yes, sir.
Should it be kept in tandem with the actual model always? Because whenever the parameter is changing,
yes,
this reference model, the controller have to be again retuned, right?
No, sir, no needs. No need to retune the model. Let me see if this example works, because here I gave this example. In this example, I have designed in this way so that we can change the parameters. Let us see by changing the parameters in this one, sir. So let us run this and see. So now instead of square wave, let us use the sine wave, which is easy to converge. So let us wait a while until it converges, then we will apply this.
But how does this conceptually happen? Because controller and plant are made to mimic reference model. The controller and plant together are made to mimic like a reference model, right? Is that what is happening?
No, the reference model is, if I show here, the reference model is something we are not touching, sir. What we are changing is the plant.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what
So, like
yes.
controller and plant together are made to mimic the reference model. Is that what we are doing here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are right. Yes, sir.
So if the plant parameter changes,
Yes, sir.
then how the reference, then obviously this reference model has to be kept in tandem with the plant always, right? How does this algorithm get adjusted to itself if plant model changes?
Yeah, yes, sir. That we will see, because this is how the adaptive controller, the gains are always changing, sir. If you see the algorithm here, the theta is updating all the time. Theta is not something constant. We are updating it all the time. You see, theta is updating with this gain and with the error. So if you see here, the theta is updated by all these parameters. So one is the error, and the P is something which makes sure it is stable, because we have done stability analysis and then we come up with this value P. And then the gamma is something we say how the gain, how quickly you want us to reach the convergence. So for example, we can say the system is working. We see here it is both are coinciding. Now let us change the value of this parameter. This is our system. The system is, instead of 0.2, let us say it is become 0.5. Let us see if it works or not.
Here the reference model is still in tandem, still is kept in together.
Yes, sir. The reference is the same. So you want our plan to behave like that. So if the parameters are changing for the system, the reference, as the reference changed, I mean the plant changed, we can see there is some disturbance here. But as the time progresses, the adaptive controller gains are adjusted so that now we can see again it is mimicking the reference model.
Reference model has always to be in the control algorithm. It has to be there.
Yes, sir. Reference model is something like you want it to behave, so you always keep it
Okay.
same, sir. You can change this as well.
I can change it again. It will get adapted.
Yes, sir. It will continuously adapting itself. So whatever you change, it will try to adapt itself. So you made some change here, but it adapted to itself. It adapted itself to make sure it is mimicking the we can say the output of the plant is same as output of the reference model. So let us. Yes.
Normally, the reference model which we take will be a kind of linear kind of system. Because there will be a lot of non-linearities inside the
Yes.
plant, we'll be able to adapt to all kind of, or there are some limitations in getting adaptation.
Okay. Yes, sir. So what we are seeing here is only linear systems, sir. So whatever we are seeing here, it is only for the linear systems. For the non-linear systems, there will be a lot of other things we have to keep in our mind. For example, they'll remove the non-linearities by some other algorithms. So we are not seeing that. If you have a nonlinear system, first we linearize by doing some changes like state feedback, and in that we try to what you call implement the inverse algorithm by identifying the parameters and other stuff, which we didn't see in this course, which is completely, it should be more in detail. But for this, there are algorithms which they can do it. Yes, but not for all the nonlinear systems. The nonlinear systems is like a very big chunk of material we don't know. Only a little part of the nonlinear models we have done. I mean, we means the whole world. The mathematical people, who done is only for small part of the mathematical nonlinear parts of the systems. So there is even for a simple pendulum, there is no perfect model which can say this is how the simple pendulum works. So there is a big holes in the mathematical modeling and implementing non-linear control algorithms. So whatever we have is very small tip of nonlinear algorithms. So there is a lot of research to be done, and some even say it is not possible through mathematical way or the conventional presently available mathematical way. It is not always possible.
Heuristic.
There is a restriction. Analytically, it is not possible. That's how many mathematicians say, and some keep trying, but
heuristic models may solve that.
Heuristic models, what they do is they like at every stage they make as a small linear system and they try to solve that. Whenever they have a big change, they change the model to some linear system and they try to solve that problem. So it's more, yeah, heuristically it is possible, but no one can guarantee the stability. Yes, because mathematically it is not possible. They will just give through some heuristic ways of.
So basically, adaptive control is used where there are variations in the plant parameters, plant.
Yes.
And
yes.
And to adapt the controller to variations in plant parameter, we use adaptive control.
Yes.
It also be done for variation in states. If there is a variation in state,
the states are always changing, sir. States is something they keep changing. So what we are saying is the states of this system should mimic the states of our reference system. So if the output is mimicking, it's somehow internally, it is not always guaranteed, but most of the time the states are also mimicking this behavior of these states. States are always changing, so only the parameters are somewhat stable in a system.
Yeah, that's what states are continuously changing. So even can this even get adapted to changes in state also?
Yes, sir. This actually what this does is it changes the states such a way that the system behaves with the way we want.
Okay, so that. Okay.
Yes, sir. This
is controlled by.
Okay. Yes, sir. This is controls by controlling the states, sir. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Okay. So let us quickly go through this derivation process, what we saw yesterday a little. Okay. So, okay, so this is a system we said we want to control. The algorithm, what we are seeing is for a trajectory following a trajectory R, the reference R. So we have this system and we saw yesterday how to write in state space, and then we see the U is input to the system. What we want to give input is this part and these terms. In this, what is Z? Z is defined by these terms. Okay, so here we know everything except the Z. So let us write it in the form of theta transpose phi. The theta transpose is this, theta 1, theta 2. What are the thetas? Thetas are A of I divided by B. So you can see A1 divided by B is theta 1. So what is the last term? The last term is 1 divided by B. So we call it beta. Beta is 1 divided by B. And what are the coefficients of this? Or this we have written. Here this side is y to the power, as we said yesterday, y to the power of, in parentheses we say this, it means we are putting n-1 dots, or we can say we are differentiating y with respect to time n-1 times. So we are differentiating these many times. So these are differential equations, or we can say we write here in this vector. In the last term we know it is z. So but what is z? The z is these terms, alpha 1 times r minus y and all these things. if you put this equation 4 into our actual system, in the actual system, so we multiply u with the one we have proposed here. So what do we have? If you see, this b will cancel with this b, and this a n of minus 1, this will be cancelled with this one. So all these terms are cancelled with all these terms. So what do we have is z, nothing else. So y with n dots are derivated by n times is equal to z. So all other terms are removed. So we can say we are removing all the system dynamics and we are injecting some new dynamics with z. So what is z? So all these things, right? So if you see this, all these things are in the right side, and we have one extra term r of n. So what is yn minus rn? It is e of n, right? So we call e as, if we define e is equal to y minus r, I mean r minus y. So we want to say r minus y. If you say reference minus the actual output, y is the error. So if we have that, what we'll have? We'll have this equation. Different e differentiated with respect to time n times, and all these things, and the terms alpha 1, alpha 2, up to alpha n. And we are injecting, or we are putting the values of alpha, so we can select the values of alpha such a way that the system is stable. So how do we select? So we can write these alphas in a state space model. So let me show that here. Where is it? Okay. Write E in this way. The A is this one, right? If we write in state space model. So we can make sure this system defined in the 5 is stable if and only if the A is having all its eigenvalues negative. So we make sure the eigenvalues are negative by properly selecting these alpha values. So what we do is we select alpha values properly and we make sure this system is stable. So if we know actual values of theta, our problem is done. So we say it is stable. So the error goes to 0 as the time goes infinity. So if error goes to 0, it means the y minus reference minus y is going to 0. So the reference is equal to y. So the 5 is the end of the problem. But in the real life, we don't know what is theta. So if we don't know what is value of theta, we can't put these values. The theta are A and B values, right? So we don't know actual values of A and B because the actual plant is not available to us. So what we do, we say the theta cap are the estimated values, theta is the real values, and theta, this wave is the error between these two. So what is the theta estimated value is error plus the actual value. So actual value plus the error is the estimated value. So what we have is some estimate of theta. What we do is, instead of using theta, we will use theta estimate in our equation. So if we have theta estimate, we can divide it into two terms: theta, the actual value, and theta error. So with this, we already know if you put theta.
You said you're going to spend this day with me.
Okay, no. 1 second. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, my daughter woke up. So let's continue. So here we are saying instead of theta, we have theta cap, which is the measurement. So theta cap is sum of actual values and the error value. So with the actual value, we already know the whole equation is simplified into this one, the E. And what is remaining is this part. So if we make sure this is going to 0, the whole thing is equal to 0, and we know if this thing is equal to 0, the error, this is a stable system, so after some time the system decays or goes to 0, the error is 0, and we can say y is equal to r. So what we have to make sure is this is equal to 0. So how do we do that? So we come up with some techniques. So first we write this in state space way. So E dot is equal to AE minus this one. So this is a matrix. If this is scalar value, if you want to write in a matrix, so we multiply with B. So what we have B is all zeros, only 1 in the bottom. So this is a Lyapunov equation. So what it gives is it makes sure the system is stable. So if this equation is satisfied, the system is stable. So we already selected A. We know that we selected A, right? So the system is stable. So we can say the equation 12 is valid already. So if for any value, for some values or for any values of P, A transpose P plus P transpose A, the output is minus Q. Here the P and Q are positive. So what do I mean by positive? They are symmetric and also they have eigenvalues positive. So this equation, we know it is true because we selected A such a way that it makes this system true. So we go with the next part, which is writing Lyapunov function. So if someone don't know how this Lyapunov function works or Lyapunov stability theory works, I will give one small analogy. The analogy can be like if we have a system and if you want to make sure or we want to see if the system is stable or not, what can we do? 1 second, please. Yeah, I'm sorry again. So, okay, let's continue. So I was telling the Lyapunov function, how we can give small analogy. So if we have some system, let us say, for example, so how can we say, so our planetary system, if we say the solar system, Earth and other systems, we have some system. And how can we make sure the system is stable? So how one way is to say if there is no energy getting into that, or if the energy is always decreasing in a system, we can say that the system is going to stable in the future. So what does it mean? If our solar system, we always radiate energy into the space, we are not receiving energy. So after certain years, maybe in billion or million or I don't know how many billions of years, we can certainly say our solar system is stable. Maybe not now, but in the future time, when time goes to infinity, our solar system is stable. So it radiates all its energy and it will have no energy and it will be going to stable. So the Lyapunov is also something similar because it says its energy or I will say why I'm saying energy. So it goes to stable. Why I'm saying the word energy here is it is having square to its state. So how do we measure kinetic energy? It is having square of something. How do we measure energy or so for example, how we call energy in electrical engineering? We have some formula and we can see the formula is always comes with V square or I square. So if you write in states like voltage or current, it will come to with squares. So the states gets its squares. So state squares are always, we can say like we are taking the positive value all the time. So in the Lyapunov also says something similar. So if we have to formulate some function which is always positive. In our electrical system, we can say I square R is the power. If you multiply with some time, it is the energy, right? So I square R is, we can say it's a representation of energy. I square RT. So what is I square? We are multiplying I to I itself. So it is never negative. It is always positive. I square R. So the similar way, what we are doing, we know E is error. If you multiply E times E, it is E square, which is positive. But in matrix format, you can't multiply two matrices, two column matrices. So what you do, we put one square matrix in between, and this matrix should be positive to make sure the whole thing is positive. So what we are doing, E transpose P times E. So if you multiply this, we will get one value which is positive all the time. Whatever value may be the E, this multiplication is always one scalar positive value. And here we are doing the same. We are multiplying with gamma, and we are saying gamma is a positive value. So we should have gamma positive, and we don't know what is the error in theta. It may be positive or negative. So what we are doing, we are multiplying theta with itself. So how do we multiply? Like theta transpose times theta, but we use gamma to make sure that the matrix is compatible, and also we can give some gain. This gain later on we can tune to make the adaptive law. The only term here we don't know is B. So we don't know if B is positive or negative, but we have to make sure it is positive. So we are using absolute value of B. So we use B absolute value. So what do we do? Okay, so what do we say is if the energy is always decreasing. So how do we make sure if something is decreasing? We say its derivative, if the first derivative of that one is less than 0, it means it is decreasing, right? So we say V dot, if it is V is energy, it's an analogy. It's not always should be analogy. It's energy. It can be something else, but it is something which is we are using in this concept to explain this concept. So if the energy is always decreasing, the system is stable. So V dot is representing the change in energy. So we say the changing energy is, if we differentiate this and we simplify, we get this equation. So we say this is the V dot. So the energy should be always decreasing. So we saw from the previously that this one, we know Q is positive. From I'm not showing all the steps of how to differentiate. If you go to the book, we can see, but this term we already know it is negative because E times E is positive, and times Q is already positive, we know. So all this positive, and we are putting negative symbol here. So this term is negative. So we are making sure this term is negative. And what we have to do is we have to make sure if this goes to 0, we can say that the system is stable. So how do we make sure this part goes to stable? We say this one is equal to 0. So if we say this one is equal to 0, so what we do, this term goes out and we get sign. We should know what is the sign of B. And then this is the equation. We simplifying that, we get so here you can see the sign of B plays very important role. But in our algorithms, we are not using sign of B because we already know the values we are selecting, the B is positive. So I'm putting it positive. Sometimes I'm using negative. So then I give negative, but I'm not showing you what it should be. But this is the reason why we are getting this control algorithm all the time. Gamma, B, transpose, P and E. So here you can see why P is important. This guarantees us that the system is stable. And the gamma can be any value. You have seen here. Here the gamma can be anything positive. But what we are saying in our algorithm, if you give bigger values of gamma, it converges quickly. If you give smaller, it will converges slowly but reaches accurate value. That is something we are learning by doing some experiments. So mathematically we prove that So, okay. From if you see this differential equation, we see it is done for the error in theta, not for the theta estimate itself. But what we want is theta estimate, right? So here is the another assumption we are doing. The 7. If you see the 7 equation 7, if you go to the equation 7. Okay, the equation 7 says theta cap is equal to error in theta plus the actual value of theta. If we do differentiation, what we get here, theta error or estimated theta dot is equal to error dot plus theta dot. So what we say is theta dot is the change in theta with respect to time. So what we are considering in this algorithm is it is equal to 0. If you see in this, the differentiation, we are considering it is equal to 0. So that's why I say it will be useful, but you can't make very quick changes in theta dots. Because if there is a big change in the parameters, sudden change, the system may go unstable because we are not using that condition here. We are saying theta change is always associated to the error. It is not associated with the change in the plant. So if the plant itself is changing, this algorithm won't be affected. But if you say if it is changing over a long period of time, we can consider theta dot is very close to 0 and this algorithm still applies. So if the plant parameters are changing drastically, very quickly, this algorithm again won't work. So finally what we get is theta dot is equal to this. So this is the control algorithm we are applying. In this part, I skipped the sign of B because we are taking it is positive or negative. So I'm directly using those results. And there is the Lepnow itself explains something. So to make it complete, there is one lemma called Barbalat, which is worth reading once. So what it says is if it is continuously decreasing, if some energy is continuously decreasing, it will finally reach to 0 state. Something similar way it explains in mathematical way. It's better you read in the textbooks of slotting, which is in the references. In the references, you can see the book name. Okay, so this is the derivation of how we get control algorithms. If someone is interested, they can read. Maybe I explained very quickly and it may be not very clear. It may be demoralizing to someone who knows and who wants to work. But don't get demoralized if my explanation is bad. I'm sure you'll understand better if you read the book. Yeah. Please tell me if you have any doubts.
So apart from these modal reference, do we have any adaptive control methods?
Yeah, there are like for example, we saw last time it was trajectory following adaptive control, and today we see model reference adaptive control, right? So like that, yeah.
I'm not clear with why we need to take square, because I've seen that square gives us energy and an equivalent term.
Yes, sir.
Like we will calculate, and why it should always be positive. Like that means to say that it is always like any positive term indicates that it has some energy. Is that what? Or equivalently we are converting it into energy. Is that what this algorithm? Because I have seen, as you have told, in many control algorithms, I have seen that you could take square so that it becomes always positive.
Yes, sir.
Like while calculating correlation, we always take square. They say that square always positive. No, I didn't clearly understand why should it is only to say that when taking square is energy. Some way it is energy. But why we need to have a positive thing like that means to say that square terms are always giving positive. That's why any positive term will be a square or something like that.
Yes, sir. This is actually PhD thesis of Alexander Lepnow. he was studying how he can make sure a system is stable. How can he come up with some mathematical way of saying the system is stable? What he derived is in his thesis, like if you define any function which is positive, and its derivative is negative, then you can say the system is stable. So how do we define this function is you have to have all the states of the system, and this function should be always positive. So how he got why it should be positive and why its derivative should be negative, the mathematical background I don't know, sir, but it is part of this person's PhD thesis.
Okay,
It
okay,
is
sir.
so it is 1850 or 1905, or I don't know, in
All right.
18
Okay.
at the end of 18th century, I mean 19th century, he proposed his mathematical background for all these things. This is our starting point for our control people. So this is how
Okay.
the mathematics of the 1 second, sir. Trisha, can you please please? Okay. So this is where for me as a control system guy, the mathematics of control theory ends and the actual mathematician's work starts. So why it happens? For that we have to go into the differential equations properties, and as a mathematicians we have to think more in depth. So this is a high level abstraction until where I get some understanding. To console myself, what I say is this represents like energy, and
Okay,
if you
okay.
say any energy, if it is reducing always, so we can say it is going to stable. Any system you
Okay.
take, if you keep removing the energy from that, after some time it is stable. So how we can do that? That's the analogy what I give to myself, and it's also true. But it is not just energy. It can be any function which is positive with all its states. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, sir. The another way of using is we can put absolute values, but differentiating absolute values and other things are a little complicated. So we use this technique, this way of doing it. So whatever if you come up with one function with all its states getting positive, if you differentiate and if you just the result says negative, so we can say sure, you can guarantee that it is stable, sir.
Thank you.
Yes. If you have any other doubts, please ask me. So this is the end of all 9-day course. If you have any doubts from any of the previous classes also, please, you can ask me now. So the course material will be available on my website. If you go xkgadi.com courses, here you can see, now this is the first course. You can go here and the course material will be available, and also I will keep all the videos in this section. Yes.
So dear participants, this is it for the 9-day model reference adaptive control for linear system course. So we must be thankful to the resource person for making us to introduce this new concept. If you're aware of it, probably like it's a new insight into using this adaptive control over a Umayak tool. So I strongly suggest please suggest your project students to make use of this Umayak tool so that the bugs can be shared to the resource person. He'll rectify for the better use of it. Yes, in chat box we have kept a feedback form for all the 9-day sessions. So you can give your valuable feedback in the form of numericals as well as orally. And don't forget to mention your corresponding fields, mail IDs and your ID numbers and phone numbers, so that we'll be in touch with you even in future. So we'll be intimating you the further the KLU webinar series contents. So whenever we plan, you'll get the reminders. Thank you so much. Raju sir, you want to say anything before we end up the session?
Yeah, just a few words because I think it's already time. Thank you, Professor Suresh. It was really a wonderful session because I have attended many workshops and webinars during this COVID season. But this is the best I have attended because it was hands-on session, because online having a workshop that hands-on is really most tedious task. Probably you are the most ideal person for doing it. Thank you. And the resource person, because Kalyan himself has a very high regards for in our eyes as a faculty, because he always do everything hands-on. So whatever he plans, he wants it to be in hands-on. And we have even more higher regards for you because you have bridged the gap between mathematics and an engineer. So you have made us understand how can we actually convert our theory into practice. So most of the control algorithms which sound to be very complex, as you are actually saying that you are making it complex, but you have really bridged the gap between what actually the mathematics and control system is. And I congratulate you for developing such a wonderful tool. This tool will be definitely a grand success, and it will reach every corner of the world and a common student. Thank you for sharing such a because control systems is always intuitive and always it's not restricted to one branch of engineering. Everyone who is interested in mathematics can perform pursue control systems. So you made even more interesting. Thank you, Sir Suresh. I think your daughter is missing you. Hope convey our regards to your daughter also. Hope you will have a good time with her now. Thank you, Professor Suresh. Thank you, Kalyan, for introducing such an eminent professor to all our KLU.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, sir. I've been thinking from past. Actually, unfortunately, I have to say something. Mr. Dr. Suresh Kumar has applied as a faculty for KLU, sir, long back. But I don't know why he didn't progress, and he went to Mexico. And, yeah, anyway, it's good for all to meet like this.
Yeah.
The participant participation certificates will be provided, issued to your mail IDs. Please share your details in your feedback form. And not the least, Dr. Suresh Kumar Gadi, can you tell me what is the meaning of UYAMAC?
Thank you
something
very
in Telugu. It should be something in Telugu, I think.
Thank you very much for your kind words, sir, Raju sir, and thank you, Kalyan. Actually, I promised my daughter that I will spend 2 days continuously with her. So I thought she will wake up half an hour late, but she woke up little early. So she thinks I broke her promise. But
no, you have to.
So I said I'll spend 2 complete days with her now. Yeah.
So she is eagerly waiting for that day. That's why she might have woke up early.
Okay. Can you please pause the TV, please? Yeah. Yeah. You're saying something, sir. I didn't hear. She
might be eagerly waiting for that day.
Yes,
That's why
sir.
she has
Every
woken up
day
early.
I prepare the class. She comes and asks me. I said, for 10 days, let me work. So she said, okay. So after 10 days, you will spend 2 days with me. I said, all right. Yeah. So next 2 days are for her. Yes.
So I wish you have a good time.
Yes. Regarding the UYAMAC, what I did is I wanted to give some name. I don't know what name I can give. So Tisha, can you please pause the video, please? So what I did is I used a random password generator program software. I generated some passwords with 6 alphabets. Because I saw more than 6 alphabets, it's not good for a website. So the UYAMAC is something like I thought it sounds easy to pronounce, and it's something very random. So I said UYAMAC. And the UYAMAC, in Telugu, the U represents, the alphabet. U is something like I'm using as a logo here. There is nothing big, no big thought about this. I just use that. And also,
And funny thing is, when I searched Uyamik in our Google, we got a Telugu converse meaning for that. It's like a learn.
Uyamak is what? Kalyan, you are saying what is the meaning of that? I didn't hear.
Choose in HCO. Yeah, look and learn. So anyway, it's
I didn't know that.
right. Like, yeah, in Google translations, like I got like that. Probably like I thought good platform to learn and explore. Unfortunately, it matched with your intention, right? That's great from your side, Suresh. So wonderful work that you are doing for the student as well as for your development of your skills to make engineering and maths easy to the next generation. Yeah, we need such kind of tools. So which is so promising and will give us a path for new creations. Thank you so much, Suresh. So I think anything participants you would like to share with the resource person, you can. Otherwise, complete the feedback form and we can sign off for today.
Suresh sir, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind words, sir. Thank you, sir.
So we can close this session. Suresh, have a good day. Good night, all of you. We'll be letting you know the future plans and courses. Thank you.
Yeah, good night, all of you. Bye.
So we'll be waiting for some more time to fill the forms.